Although reptiles dominated most ecological niches during the Mesozoic era, other animals refused to surrender without a fight. Competition was fierce enough that even dinosaurs frequently fell prey to other creatures. In one of our previous episodes, we spoke in detail about animals that included these reptiles in their diet. Today, we turn our attention to several more predators that lived alongside the colossal lizards and were capable of hunting them. Subscribe to our channel to be among the first to know when new episodes about dinosaurs and other prehistoric inhabitants of Earth go live. Your comments and likes directly support the channel's growth and help bring it to a wider audience. Naturally, the largest land-dwelling lizards faced a serious threat only from equally formidable relatives. According to current estimates, however, such giants accounted for only around 5% of all dinosaur species that existed during the Mesozoic era. The overwhelming majority were far more modest in size and were forced to remain perpetually on guard. Danger lurked not only from larger kin, but from representatives of entirely different orders and classes as well. Quetzalcoatlus, this creature holds the record among all pterosaurs known to science, the flying reptiles that were cousins to the dinosaurs. Its remains were first discovered in 1971 in the American state of Texas. Initial estimates placed its wingspan at 15 to 21 meters, though later research revised that figure down to around 12 meters. Estimates of Quetzalcoatlus's body weight vary considerably, with figures ranging from 70 to 250 kilograms. Nevertheless, an experiment conducted in 1984 gave researchers reason to believe the actual weight was closer to the lower end of that range. Scientist Paul McCready constructed a flying machine modeled on this pterosaur to determine whether flight was even possible for a creature of such proportions. The model, weighing 80 kilograms, successfully took to the air. Some researchers, however, maintain that Quetzalcoatlus was significantly heavier and most likely could not fly at all. Equally heated debates surround its feeding habits and hunting strategies. Some specialists believe it pursued small terrestrial animals, while others picture it as a fish eater and consumer of marine fauna, pointing to peculiarities of its anatomy. It is thought to have scooped prey directly from the water, much like a pelican. A third group of researchers classifies it as a scavenger, Cretalamnidae, in the seas and oceans of the Mesozoic era. Alongside aquatic reptiles swam enormous sharks. Bones belonging to members of the family Cretalamnidae have been found on nearly every continent. In their anatomical structure, these ancient predators resembled modern great white sharks and mako sharks, species specifically shaped by nature for hunting large prey. Their diet most likely consisted primarily of fish and marine animals, though scientists allow that Cretalamnidae may also have attacked aquatic dinosaurs or those that happened to end up in the water. There is also evidence that these sharks consumed the carcasses of dinosaurs that found their way into bodies of water for one reason or another. The animals reached 6 to 7 meters in length, weighed over 3 tons, and their formidable jaws held up to 80 teeth, each around 5 centimeters long. Teeth are by far the most commonly preserved remains, since a shark's cartilaginous skeleton deteriorates far more rapidly. Even so, paleontologists have managed to recover several nearly complete skeletons of this ancient fish. The best preserved specimen was unearthed in the United States, in a region that during the Cretaceous period lay beneath a body of water known to science as the Western Interior Seaway, Didelphodon. While most Mesozoic mammals were clearly outmatched by the reptiles and could not compete with them for dominance, certain species nonetheless posed a genuine threat. Didelphodon, with a body length of roughly 1 meter, could only realistically target small dinosaurs or their young. And even then, researchers have no direct evidence of such a diet. This marsupial predator lived during the late Cretaceous period in what is now the state of Montana. Reconstruction results, however, point to a remarkably powerful bite, one that surpasses that of modern hyenas by this measure. Most researchers lean toward the view that Didelphodon was an omnivore, equally willing to consume both meat and plant matter. Deinosuchus. Among the crocodilomorphs, there was another species whose menu clearly included dinosaurs, Deinosuchus. This distant relative of present-day alligators inhabited North America between 73 and 80 million years ago. It grew to between 10 and 12 meters in length, and its mass, according to various calculations, ranged from 2.5 to 8.5 tons. The first fossilized teeth of this giant were found in the mid-19th century, though the specialists who examined them mistakenly described the finds as the remains of two separate, previously unknown species. In 1903, paleontologists John Hatcher and Timothy Stanton excavated several osteoderms in the state of Montana. Fossilized bony plates characteristic of the skin of crocodilians and certain dinosaurs. Initially attributed to an ankylosaur, continued excavation at the same site yielded further finds, vertebrae, ribs, and other bones that unmistakably pointed to a crocodilian. Hatcher halted the work, and it was only 6 years later that the animal received its name, terrible crocodile. The formal description of the new species was prepared by the scientist William Holland. The wealth of discoveries accumulated throughout the 20th century allowed researchers to reconstruct the appearance and proportions of Deinosuchus in considerable detail. In its anatomy, it closely resembles modern alligators, with the significant difference that it dwarfed them many times over. Particularly striking are the calculations of its bite force. In 2002, researchers measured the jaw strength of various living crocodilian species, working with individuals of different ages and sizes. The saltwater crocodile emerged as champion with a recorded force of 16.5 kilonewtons. The estimated bite force of an 11-meter Deinosuchus, by comparison, reached a staggering 103 kilonewtons. Tapeworms and dermestid beetles, feeding on dinosaurs, required neither superior size nor greater strength. Analysis of fossilized excrement from one carnivorous dinosaur revealed that its intestinal tract was inhabited by a variety of parasites. Among other things, traces of enormous tapeworms were identified in these coprolites, creatures whose length, by preliminary estimates, exceeded 30 meters. This is not particularly surprising. Modern birds, the direct descendants of dinosaurs, are themselves frequently afflicted by parasitic worms. Some scientists do suggest, however, that the worms may have coexisted with dinosaurs not as parasites, but as symbionts. What benefit they might have provided their hosts remains, for now, an open question. Furthermore, consuming a dinosaur did not necessarily require hunting a living one. Remains of a hadrosaur have been found bearing clear traces of beetles that bore through bone. In all likelihood, insects from the family dermestidae came across the carcass of a dinosaur that had partially sunk into soft ground or dung. The very existence of such a diverse array of hunters and scavengers that fed at the expense of dinosaurs leads us to an important conclusion. Animals of any size, whatever ecological niche they occupied, were inseparable from the broader natural processes of their time. The laws of evolution and the interdependence of living things operated during the Mesozoic exactly as they do today, and millions of years after humanity has vanished, nature will invariably still contain those who serve as food for others. We are grateful to everyone who watches our episodes through to the end. To explore the history of dinosaurs and other vanished animals in greater depth, we invite you to discover the rest of the content on the Mind Orbit channel.